Hey friend, welcome to Translating the Label podcast for hairstylists, where we break down the complexities of cosmetic chemistry, brand management, cosmetic regulations, and so much more. We break down all the information into practical, relatable advice that empowers you to make more informed choices and sets you apart as a stylist who has a comprehensive understanding of hair care beyond brand hype and brand narratives. Our goal is to give you an insider's perspective into the hair care industry. You're not going to hear what you want to hear here. You're going to hear what you need to cut through the noise and enhance your expertise. I'm Anna, a hairstylist who has an insane curiosity around cosmetic chemistry. I do like to take a quick moment to highlight that the true experts when it comes to this stuff are the cosmetic chemists themselves. I simply have an insane amount of knowledge around this topic, and I love to share what I learn with you. Okay, with all that being said, today's topic is going to be ingredient list. And just a quick side note, if you happen to be watching this, you're probably seeing me glance over at my notes a lot. I really need those to stay on track. So let's dive in. Okay, now I can't be the only one who does this. So raise your hand if you love to flip over the back of your products and analyze the ingredient list, right? Ingredient list. Now these are also known as INCI or INCI list. And this stands for International Nomenclature Cosmetic Ingredient. And as much as we love to flip over the backs of the bottles, there's a whole lot going on here that isn't common knowledge to most of us, which is why I wanted to share it with you today. So these ingredients on the INCI list, you can call it INCI or INCI, by the way. I just like to refer to it as INCI. But it doesn't matter how you refer to it, it still means ingredient list. Okay, so the ingredients you see listed on the back, these actually aren't the real ingredient names. So the names that are on the back, these INCI names, these actually represent ingredient categories. Brands select raw materials by their trade names. So you can think of this as like crackers, right? There's an aisle in the grocery store for crackers, and if you want Triscuits, so Triscuit is the trade name, cracker would be the INCI name. Not that that's what we actually refer to crackers as, but you get it. So anyway, so the INCI names actually don't give us as much information as we think they do. Now, when brands are putting a product together, of course, like I just said, they will purchase it usually using their trade names. But then when the formula is ready and they want to bring it to market, they then take these trade names and they convert them into their INCI names, which will go on the back of the package. Now, companies use the INCI names to provide a detailed ingredient list to consumers. This allows us to recognize any ingredients that may cause adverse reactions. So this is obviously very important for people who do have adverse reactions to ingredients. Because it is important that they're able to recognize those and then know to avoid that product. Now, I do want to take a quick side note here. Now, adverse reactions to ingredients is something that really only affects about 3% or less of the population, just as a whole. So just keep that in mind because it does happen. It is something that we see every day in the salon and in our personal lives, but it really doesn't affect as many people as you would think it does. And one of the goals of each brand is actually to use the ingredients that cause the least amount of adverse reactions. So INCI names also allow formulation privacy for the brand. So again, these allow transparency for us and privacy from competitors, which is a really big deal on both ends. Now, another thing that you probably didn't know, or well, maybe you knew this, but most of us probably didn't realize it, is that INCI names are actually a globally standardized label requirement for all cosmetics. So this ensures consistency, transparency, and safety across all international markets, which is pretty cool. So this means that you can go to any country anywhere and the names that are used will be the same anywhere in the world. Okay, so now here's the downside to the INCI list, and this really applies heavily to us, so or those of us that like to analyze the back of the list. So the INCI names, they don't tell us anything about the quality of specific ingredients, and they actually are not an indication to the quality of the product. The only real indication you can get for the quality of the product is, of course, like word of mouth and other stylists vouching for it and whatnot. But the real indication is you have to test it yourself. And I'm sorry, because I know that is the most annoying piece of advice, but it is what it is. And it is important to test any product, of course, before you bring it into the salon and share it with your clients. Okay, so now, as most of you know, but maybe not everyone, so the ingredients listed on the INCI list they're listed by quantity. So how much of each ingredient is in there. So the highest amounts of ingredients, of course, are going to be listed at the top, and then the lowest amounts are going to be listed at the bottom. Now, any ingredient that's used at 1% or less can actually be listed in any order. Now, not any order throughout the product, but there is like the section on the bottom once we get to the ingredients that are 1% or less in that section. It's not like it states that it's that specific section, but you won't really know it's happening unless you're very well versed in cosmetic ingredients and INCI names. And a lot of times brands, again, to throw their competitors off, will definitely utilize the fact that they can list those in any order, because again, they don't want to give out too much information to their competitors. If you do need ingredient specifics, like if this is something you absolutely need or it's just super important to you, I highly encourage you to reach out to the brand directly, because they're more apt to share that information with you privately versus publicly. And I know that when I've reached out to brands before to ask questions, they usually get back to you a lot faster than you think. I get a lot of responses within 24 to 48 hours, and they're usually pretty happy to help. So I just wanted to encourage you to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the brand's website, and at the bottom, they have a contact me, which is pretty like standard practice for everyone for any business, really. Okay. And that's it for today. This is a nice short episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please reach out if you have any questions, because I'm always happy to answer those. Also, if you have any requests, I would love to know what that is. And I will see you on the next episode.